You're listening to WTIM, your information station, and it's time now for your expanded local news. Hart Media Group is pleased to announce that WTIM's 870 AM signal is once again broadcasting at full power across central Illinois. Hart Media Group, the owner of WTIM Radio, recently announced that the station's main transmitter had been damaged following a mechanical failure. The incident forced WTIM's 870 AM signal to operate at reduced power, while engineers and multiple contractors from several states worked to diagnose and resolve the problem. Thankfully, WTIM Radio has continued to broadcast our local news, agriculture, and sports on WTIM's FM channels at 96.1 in Taylorville, at 107.9 in Pana, and in Nokomis, and also at 107.5 in Shelbyville. Hart Media Group owner Matthew Hart said the restoration marks the end of an intensive multi-state repair process, saying after much effort and coordination, we're pleased to report that WTIM's AM signal has been fully restored to its full power of 500 watts. Our AM signal is once again connecting people across all of central Illinois. Hart added that the station is grateful for the understanding shown by our loyal listeners. We want to thank all of our listeners for their patience while we have been operating at a lower power on the AM dial, Matt Hart said. We're certainly excited to be back at full strength on 870 AM, bringing news, agriculture, and sports to our local communities. The arrangement of equipment use for a 9/11 remembrance ceremony highlighted Monday's meeting of the Taylorville Park Board. Ted Chapman, who has organized 9/11 remembrance ceremonies in Taylorville in the past, spearheaded this effort. He requested the use of park bleachers for the next ceremony, which will mark a quarter century since the terrorist attacks.
Well, I just come to make a request from the Park District for the bleachers for 9/11 of 2026 on the north side of the square for a commemorative service at 25th anniversary of that attack on our nation. So that's what I'm here for. I'm working with the fire department to get that coordinated.
Do we have a date on it yet?
9/11,
Yeah.
and it'll start at 10. That's just right in the mid-range, right about the time the first tower went down.
Yeah.
Payne is bringing their tower truck. Taylorville's bringing their tower truck with a large American flag suspended between the two of them. So we'll be representing the two towers.
The board voted to approve the proposal. The board also voted to accept and sign the Manners Park Pool contract with Landmark Aquatic. Discussion took place during the executive session, with the vote coming afterwards. Park District staff told Regional Radio News the discussions focused on insurance matters and establishing a phased timeline for the project. Between the aforementioned matters, the board discussed details on annual bonuses. They plan to award $250 to full-time Park District employees and $100 to those that are working part-time.
Gift cards? Okay, here's the thing. Because if you don't make a gift card, it'll end up being income. You don't want that.
And here is why you don't want it, because
No,
now
it should be
Linda's
taxed.
dealing with the mess,
Right.
because IMRF wants the portion of what everybody got last year.
Oh,
Really?
shoot.
Yeah, so, so can you get like a $250 debit card that they could just use
Yeah,
the
you
cash
can do
off
that.
of it?
Like a Visa debit.
Like a Visa debit, do that, and then it wouldn't be a check, and they wouldn't be stuck going to one place. They could go wherever they want.
The board voted to approve those bonuses. Recreation Director Jessica Frank spoke regarding the many holiday events set to take place at local parks. She says from sponsors to volunteers, many of the arrangements have now been made.
Working on Christmas in the park, everything is sponsored. All of the volunteer slots are filled for the most part. Donation booth is filled. I'll finish this tomorrow, hopefully, and then just start going down my list of every event to make sure I've got everything.
I have a question for you. You're gonna have a release form for the driving the golf carts?
Yes.
That they'll
So
sign
it
for
has
you?
a portion of the release from battery specialists that they use all the time, like when they have them out places, coupled with one with ours that we
Okay.
have on everything. So,
All right.
and they have to sign on that night. Whoever's driving that night has to sign
Right.
it before they
No kids driving.
can. They don't do that either, and so we set it around 18.
The park board canceled its regular December meeting due to the many events taking place that month. Therefore, the next regular meeting is tentatively set for January 26th of 2026. Three employees at the Christian County Sheriff's Office are being honored for saving a life at the Christian County Jail. Deputy Sergeant Alan Bailey, Court Security Deputy Robert Campbell, and Correctional Officer Mallory Bergschneider received life-saving recognition awards from the Sheriff's Office and have now been nominated for similar state-level awards. The three were recognized at the Christian County Board meeting on Wednesday. Chief Deputy Jim Baker says on October 27th, they leapt into action on two separate occasions when an inmate attempted to take their own life. The first one of these took place at the courthouse as the inmate was being transferred. Chief Deputy Baker describes the incident in the following audio, of which some listeners may find the description disturbing.
Started out after court. Sergeant Bailey was escorting the inmate with Court Security Campbell out of the courtroom when that individual was belly chained, had his hands tied, and he come to the handrail of the third floor of the courthouse, and in an attempt to suicide, tried to waistline over the top of the rail. In really just proactive life-saving measures, Deputy Bailey dove for the guy's legs, got the legs. They pulled him back over the rail and saved his life. And then Sergeant Bailey brought him back to the jail and gave emotional support and mental health counseling to the point where we could get him some help. So he was put on a segregation 15-minute suicide watch.
The second incident actually happened later that day in a jail cell when the inmate made a second attempt at suicide.
Correction Officer Bergschneider noticed something on the camera that he seemed, just previous interactions, he seemed emotionally upset and crying and just having a hard time. And so she was really monitoring him, the extra effort. And later that in that event, he basically tied a shirt around his neck and was cutting off circulation. She seen something wasn't right, entered the cell, and basically removed the ligature around his neck and basically got him breathing again. So that was three horrific instances where their heroism basically helped save that individual's life. I think that shows that these individuals were nominated last night, as well as or recognized last night, the county board for accommodation for life safety measures, as well as will be nominated at the state level for the Sheriff's Association for life safety for those individuals.
Chief Deputy Baker offered his own praises for the employees, saying their actions not only saved a life, but also upheld the Sheriff's Office values.
It's one of those things that together, Deputy Bailey, Court Security Campbell, and Officer Bergschneider acted in a team effort across separate moments on the same day, saving the life of the inmate in serious risk. So we believe that their vigilance and courage, their compassion exemplifies some of the highest standards that the Sheriff's Office has, and just went above and beyond to be considerate and mindful of protecting and serving their community.
The three employees involved had a combined 32 years of service. This will conclude the first portion of your expanded local news, and it's brought to you by First National Bank of Taylorville.
The holidays will be here before you know it, and you always need more money to take care of all the gifts Santa is giving. Mackenzie Vaudry here, Universal Banker at First National Bank in Taylorville. We have several loan products from our home equity line of credit to consumer loans and even a Christmas Club account to take care of Santa next year. Stop by and visit with me, Mackenzie, for the money you need this holiday season. First National Bank in Taylorville, first every time for 70 years, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
The end of the fall semester at Lincoln Land Community College is now around the corner. Spring registration has begun, and tuition for its due at the start of December. That all comes before the term's finals. The Taylorville campus is looking to increase its connections with the local community, whether through volunteer work or attracting high school students to its dual credit and college exploration programs. The dual credit program is known as College Now. Elizabeth Fines Workman, director of LLCC's Taylorville campus, says students who take part can earn their associate's degree before their high school diploma.
College Now is essentially a really big standout program within Lincoln Land, but especially at Lincoln Land Taylorville, I feel like. Essentially what College Now is a chance for high school students to come to Lincoln Land Taylorville and take college courses while still in high school, right? So they're able to take this opportunity. Depending on what high school you're in, sometimes it counts for high school credit as well as college credit, right? And you get to get out early from high school, so that's an added bonus for some students, right? And you get to come to Lincoln Land, get some of those credits out of the way. We've had students in the past complete their associate's degree before they even graduated high school, right? Which is absolutely incredible.
Crazy.
Great. Yes. Yes.
It's crazy.
They are very smart folks. Let's put it that way.
Well, Fines Workman says the nature and setting of this pathway for students makes it an economically friendly pursuit.
Like you were mentioning earlier about the cost effectiveness of things, I think especially at this day and age, right, we're all about the dollar. Like, we need to save anywhere we can, right? And if we can go ahead and start saving, or those students can start saving money, their parents, their guardians, whomever, and already getting this kind of quote out of the way, quote, right, at an affordable price. And then even if you don't finish with your associate's degree, right, you still have a bunch of college credits as a junior, senior. You can take college now as a junior or senior. I should have said that. In some different high schools or different ways, but in Taylorville, that's the way they do it. So yeah, if you can get out of high school with those college credits at an affordable price, it's almost like, why wouldn't you?
In the more immediate future, students can now register for spring courses. While registration does not close for just shy of 2 months, waiting is not wise.
Yeah, so essentially we have a few dates that are really important for students or potential students to know. The first one is that your tuition is due on December 3rd, right? You might want to get that paid, or else we have like what's called a drop date, and then you'll have to re-enroll. So those are always important. And then last days to add classes are January 14th, which seems like a long way away, Grayson, but you know how deadlines are, right? They sneak on up on you. And also, a lot of the classes are starting to fill up. So if you want a chance to get into, a specific class that you want, you may want to come on down and see me so we can get you registered for that.
A small subset of core classes are available at the Taylorville campus. Fines Workman says the most popular ones are in nursing and in philosophy.
As far as classes at Taylorville, Lincoln Land that students seem to be really enjoying, we have a CNA class that students have really liked lately. So hopefully, again, you can sign up for that right now. Come on in. A lot of our classes at Lincoln Land, Taylorville, though, Grayson, are more about kind of scratching the surface and finding out like what you want to do, right? Those gen ed classes. So, as you know, you have biology, you have some EDU classes, you have public speaking, the best class, right?
That's right. That's right.
Not that I'm biased at all. History classes, right? English classes. So I think that a lot of these gen eds are helping students. Obviously, like, you have to take some of these, right? English, speech, those sorts of things. But I think that some of like philosophy, I've found that students are taking philosophy now and they're really enjoying it. And it's kind of pushing them towards whatever career field they think, right? Law or political science or different things like that.
More information on Lincoln Land Community College is available at llcc.edu. Elizabeth Fines Workman appeared as a guest on the WTIM Morning Show. Record travel numbers are expected for Illinois this Thanksgiving holiday. Molly Hart is from the AAA and has more on this story. Nationwide, AAA expects 81.8 million Americans to travel for Thanksgiving. That's an increase of 1.6 million travelers compared to 2024. The University of Illinois Extension is urging families to keep food safety in mind during your Thanksgiving preparations. You want to avoid cross-contamination, according to the agency's dietitian and nutrition and wellness educator, Chris Julfs. That means keeping raw eggs, meats, and their juices away from foods that won't be cooked and not rinsing the turkey off in the sink where you do your dishes. She also advises packing up leftovers soon after dinner in small bundles. Julf says it's a good idea to use a meat thermometer. Turkey should be cooked to an internal temperature of 165 degrees. You can find an online resource with tips at extension.illinois.edu/turkey. More year-round E15 discussions are taking place in Washington, and it's something Illinois Farm Bureau is paying close attention to. That was Kevin Simlow, who is the Executive Director of Governmental Affairs and Commodities for the Illinois Farm Bureau. The Illinois Commerce Commission has cut $55.8 million from Ameren Illinois' rate request for its natural gas delivery services. Ameren had requested $128.8 million, and the ICC also approved a 9.6% return on equity, or ROE. That was a reduction from the company's requested 10.7% ROE. A statement from the utility watchdog Citizens Utility Board stated that they are, quote, thankful that state regulators responded by derailing Ameren's bid to raid consumers for costs that were blatantly inflated and unwarranted, end quote. The Citizens Utility Board spokesman Jim Chilson had that to say, and the ICC's ruling on Wednesday exceeds the reduction recommended by 2 administrative law judges just last month. Moving now to obituaries, which can be found at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com and are brought to you by Sutton Memorial Home.
When it comes to organizing your life, Sutton Memorial Home in Taylorville has some words of advice. Consider pre-planning your funeral. The death of a loved one can be a traumatic event in people's lives, and you can spare your family the burden of planning a funeral when they are grieving. Sutton Memorial Home knows that establishing a pre-arrangement assures that important decisions and your personal selection are made in advance and spares your family an additional burden at their time of loss. Sutton Memorial Home in Taylorville. Caring is what they do best.
74-year-old Pauline E. or Penny Shehada of Taylorville died on November 17th. Visitation is November 25th from 9:30 a.m. until 11 a.m. at St. Mary's Catholic Church in Taylorville. A funeral mass will be on November 25th at 11 a.m. at St. Mary's Catholic Church. Burial will be at Oak Hill Cemetery. Funeral arrangements are being handled by Sutton Memorial Home in Taylorville. 73-year-old Randy E. Prince Sr. of Taylorville died on November 18th. Cremation rites have been accorded, and a celebration of life will be planned for a later date. Funeral arrangements are being handled by McClure Funeral Home and Cremation Services in Taylorville. And 80-year-old Marcella Clay of Taylorville died on November 18th. Visitation is today, November 25th, from 10 a.m. until 12 p.m. at Sutton Memorial Home in Taylorville. Funeral service will be at Sutton Memorial Home in Taylorville on November 25th at 12 p.m. with burial at Edinburgh Cemetery. Funeral arrangements are being handled by Sutton Memorial Home in Taylorville. Get details on these and other local news stories at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com or hear them every hour on WTIM. WTIM is your only local news radio.